Beastars. This highly praised anime has been suggested to me over and over again, so I finally decided to settle down and give it a look. Little disclaimer, I do recommend you watch the show. It's really well made and very smart with its themes. This review is going to go into spoilers for the whole show, so this is your final warning. If you want to go into the show blind, here you go. As you can clearly see, Beastars is different in that all of its characters are anthropomorphic animals, which is what sold me on the show. I find animals can be very helpful when attempting to discuss certain elements in human society, the most obvious being race and discrimination. A big scary wolf seems like a monster to a small herbivore, and in turn those herbivores seem like defenseless, pathetic creatures to the bigger animals. Discrimination in any form is all too common and can lead to some serious pain for people. So with Beastars, we have a carnivore fighting against his own natural instincts. Is it just in his nature, or is it something society has been pressing onto him? Well, let's take a look at Beastars and find out. Starting with an awfully sinister cold open, we see a large wolf pounce on a tiny rabbit, red feral eyes glowing in the dark. Quite the hook, especially considering these two end up being our two main characters. Moving on from that, we seem to bounce back in time, unfortunately to a similarly sinister scene. We begin with a high school student being attacked and eaten by an unknown killer. It's obviously left the students on edge, and the herbivores and carnivores find themselves at odds. But of the carnivores, a very large gray wolf gets brought up over and over again as a potential suspect. Legoshi. In the dark of the night, an herbivore realizes she's not alone. Legoshi, the gray wolf, is there, and he won't stop approaching her despite her warnings. In a final moment of fear, she holds up a pair of scissors in desperation to defend herself, and then...
It's a love letter.
Legoshi gets a bad rap because of his size, his great strength, and because he's pretty damn awkward. He's a nice guy, and he talks to the herbivores the same way he talks to the carnivores, but he's also a little odd. He spends a lot of time in his own head, and when he talks, he barely says much. This has the tendency to put others on edge. It's common for characters to say they're used to being treated the way they end up getting treated. It's odd. The animals also seem to put themselves into stereotypes. This lemur girl says this.
Lemurs are always cheerful and fun to be around.
While what she says is generally positive traits, even stereotypes that come across as compliments can still hold a lot of negative consequences. Anyways, turns out Legoshi was actually pretty close to the alpaca that got devoured in the beginning, as they were both in drama club. Now, I wasn't in drama club, but my twin sister, Twins Inc. was, and as her twin, I often got roped into helping with the stagehand stuff, and I can say for a fact there's a huge difference between the actors and the stagehands. Legoshi is quiet and slouchy and daydreams a lot. Stagehand is perfect for him, even though he's the only carnivore in their team. During a vigil for his alpaca friend, we end up meeting the red deer, Louie, the star actor of the drama club. Living up to the title of King of the Forest, Legoshi contemplates on how Louie basically runs the school, even though he's also kind of a dick. Transitioning over to a little pure white dwarf rabbit, we get introduced to Haru, who's unfortunately getting bullied. Haru doesn't seem too bothered by the actual bullying, more just irritated at the inconvenience. Haru immediately fascinates me. Everyone in school seems to be avoiding her, yet she seems very comfortable with being lonely. In fact, throughout most of the season, she often posits on her loner style and how she's fine with it. The bullying doesn't end there, as a Harlequin rabbit is upset with her for supposedly kissing her boyfriend. And yeah, Harlequin rabbits really do look like that. Neato. Back to Legoshi, the drama club is experiencing some drama. Louie wants to practice late at night and wants Legoshi to stand watch. Haru stayed late, waiting for her clothes to dry from her previous bullying, and as Legoshi is standing watch, he catches her scent via Twilight Princess smell-o-vision. His animal instincts kick in, and he pounces on her, bringing us back to the beginning. This is where episode 1 ends, and it's quite the hook. This world and these characters are immediately interesting, and this deadly scenario these characters are in has me on the edge of my seat. I just spent the whole episode getting to like these two, and seeing them in this moment fills me with dread. So, as Legoshi battles with his newfound carnivorous cravings, he gets interrupted and accidentally scratches Haru as she runs away. Turns out Louie got hurt falling off the stage trying to help old Bright Eyes over here. Your eyes are on the sides of your head, you definitely should have been able to see the stage there. Legoshi is obviously confused and conflicted by his carnivorous outburst, and we also find out that eating any real meat is very illegal in this world. So all the carnivores are stuck eating meat substitutes. This ends up being pretty important, but we'll get into that later. Uh-oh, Drama Club needs some flowers for their stage, and Legoshi gets picked to go ask the gardening club for help. However, upon getting to the roof, he discovers his would-be prey is the only member of the gardening club, and he gets to officially meet Haru for real. Isn't like a rule that if your name is Haru, you have to be the sole member of a gardening club found on the roof? Fortunately for Legoshi, Haru doesn't seem to remember how she got cut up, and Legoshi starts to really enjoy her company. He's confused whether it's because he's just enjoying talking with her, or if it's his underlying newfound predator instincts. While he's debating on this internally, Haru—
Don't worry, it's fine. You can be rough, I can handle it. This is my first time in the carnival.
Fucking psych. Surprise! It's not about discrimination. Beastars is a commentary about sex. Yeah, it's all been about sex this entire time. I don't know, for some reason I thought this was going to be like Zootopia as an anime. But nope. I'm wrong.
And you know what? We all love big-titted slutty bunny girls.
Okay, so while the discrimination element is not a key factor to the story, there are still elements of it seen throughout the season. It's just not really what the main focus is about. I picked the show because I thought it would have something like thrilling related to real-world discrimination, so it could be thematic for Halloween. Hey, you want to get into the spooky mood? Nothing scarier than talking about sex? So yes, it turns out Haru has quite the reputation for sleeping around, and just assumes that was why Legoshi was being so nice to her. Legoshi runs off in a panic, and that's when we find out he's still a virgin. The thematic parallels of sex and being a carnivore start to really pop up here. Legoshi has never been in a relationship before, and he's also never eaten real meat before. The frustrations he's feeling can be attributed to both of these elements, and oftentimes, Legoshi himself isn't sure what it is he's struggling with: romance or the cravings for real meat. So, because of his injury, Louis can't continue working as the lead in the drama club's play, and so the tiger, Bill, gets to take over. Unfortunately, they need a last-minute replacement for Bill's old role, and the only person who's the right size for his costume is Legoshi. There's a big difference between the actor kids and the stage crew kids when it comes to drama club. Actors love the attention, stage crew would rather crawl under the set and die. Legoshi is clearly not thrilled, and Bill offers him something to dope himself up before the show: rabbit's blood. Legoshi doesn't take it very well. I mean, if crack was made out of human flesh, I would be pretty upset if someone offered it to me too. This just adds to Legoshi's frustrations, and he ends up taking it out on Bill during the show. The duality of Haru being seen as both a romantic interest while simultaneously being seen as his prey is a huge element for the show that eats away at Legoshi, which makes sense. Sex is confusing enough as it is, adding this carnivorous element to it, and no wonder Legoshi's a train wreck. Their fight on stage has created a buzz around the school, but also has just stressed Legoshi out even more. But only his childhood friend, Jack, seems to really notice something's wrong. When trying to figure out what's eating at his friend, Jack suggests Legoshi might be in love, and it seems like he's hit the nail on the head, whether Legoshi wants to admit it or not. See, Legoshi isn't just struggling with sexual frustrations, he's also dealing with the idea of trying to start a real relationship. Sex is one thing, but it clearly also just likes Haru for who she is. Jack's suggestion that he's in love makes Legoshi realize it might not just be an animal instinct. After another bout of bullying, Legoshi comes across Haru again, and after an awkward conversation, the two decide to go out for dinner. At this point in time, Legoshi realizes they don't even know each other's names. Quick shout out to Legoshi's voice actor, Jonah Scott. He does an amazing job here, and I'm surprised he hasn't done more.
How do you ask someone their name? Why do I need to know her name? Why does a wolf need to ask a rabbit for their name? What is a name anyway?
Of course, Haru's voice actress, Lara Jill Miller, is a perfect choice to act alongside him.
I'll watch as all you guys crash and burn together because of some stupid little grudge and your species goes extinct. Good riddance.
And in case she sounds familiar to you, you might recognize her for her role as Kari from Digimon. Anyways, back on topic, this scene is one of the most memorable to me, even though very little is actually happening on screen. Hell, the two are barely even saying anything to each other. We're just listening to their inner thoughts and how they're both stressing out over this dinner, for similar yet different reasons. While the terrifying thought that Legoshi could easily devour her does cross Haru's mind, she's mostly thinking about the potential sex she could have had with him. She's thinking about how he wasn't on that rooftop just to fuck her, and how he was very polite to her despite running away from her advances after she misread the situation. That polite, kind demeanor from Legoshi is what interests her. Meanwhile, the thought of Haru in her underwear also crossed Legoshi's mind for a second. He, on the other hand, is much more preoccupied with thinking about how he attacked her that night and what his carnivorous intentions might do to her. However, once the two finally get on eye level with each other, all that inner noise fades away. This is the first time the two realize that they can actually be friends with each other. No sex, no carnivorous thoughts, no wolf, no rabbit, just Haru and Legoshi. The next day, Legoshi happens across a younger female Grey Wolf getting bullied and jumps in to help her. Her name is Juno, and it turns out she's having a pretty tough time being a new freshman, but she's happy for Legoshi's help. Juno becomes very important when it comes to figuring out Legoshi's inner thoughts, but we'll get back to that in just a second. Legoshi goes out on the town with some other carnivores to the black market, a place where they can buy and eat real meat, donated from various funeral homes and hospitals. Legoshi has a bit of a meltdown and passes out, but a panda here finds him and helps him out. The panda explains that Legoshi is probably getting his romantic feelings mixed up with his hunter instincts, so he gives him a rabbit porno, so Legoshi can better figure out if his crush is actually his carnivorous hunger, or if he really just does have a very specific fetish. So this is the thing that made me contemplate how Legoshi treats Juno versus how he treats Haru. When Legoshi is around Haru, he can't stop thinking about her, often just staring at what she's doing, and he's so busy inside his own head, he often stumbles over his own words when he tries to talk. That is, if he even gets it together enough to talk to her at all. We never see this when Legoshi is around Juno. You could point to everything I just said as being a side effect of hunting Haru in a sense, but it's very clear that he has zero romantic feelings towards Juno, even though she's clearly head over heels in love with him. It's so apparent the other students just sort of assume the two are romantically interested in each other. But it seems like it never even crosses Legoshi's mind. Hell, I don't think he even bothers to think about Juno if she isn't standing right in front of him. Despite being a very pretty girl and a member of his own species, Legoshi doesn't give her a second thought. If he was romantically interested in her in some way, it would probably help him figure out whether his feelings for Haru is something carnivorous or something romantic. It's at this point in time we find out Haru has been sleeping with Louis regularly, and that they've been involved with each other for a very long time. However, it seems like she hasn't been too happy about their relationship lately. Suddenly, Legoshi shows up, making both Louis and Legoshi suspicious of each other, and it hammers home the thought for Haru. Louis is only ever with her for sex, Legoshi actually wants to spend time with her. Meanwhile, Jack has accidentally found Legoshi's rabbit porn. It ends up as awkward as when anyone actually finds their best friend's porn, but Legoshi does finally get to confide in Jack his conflicted emotions. Most interestingly, the scene has Jack ask Legoshi if he loves Haru. This is when I realized that Legoshi has never once thought the words, "I love her." By the end of this episode, however, Legoshi gets mega jealous seeing Haru hanging out with Louis, and does finally say the words,
I'm in love with you.
However, I can't help but wonder if this is his real thoughts, or if his conversation with Jack put the idea in his head. Later, Legoshi asks Haru if he can walk her back to school, and this scene is hands down the best scene for developing their characters, and, more importantly, their friendship. Looking at the show as a whole, we've really only seen the two spending time together very sparsely. Legoshi has spent more time thinking about Haru rather than actually talking to her, and yet the two are very clearly friends. Not only because Haru flat out says so, but because during the time the two have spent together, they've actually been trying to get to know each other. The two are bothering to seek each other out and trying to carry on a conversation. So often, people get hung up on asking someone out, busying their minds with daydreams and thoughts about sex and other stuff like that. Legoshi and Haru is a shining example of trying to befriend the person you're interested in before attempting to move the relationship into something more intimate. Anyways, the two get into something of a spat, and while trying to stop Haru from wandering away into the dangerous night by herself, it unfortunately looks like Legoshi is the dangerous one. As the two run, they both realize neither of them really know what their friendship or their potential romance means. However, they realize now more than ever that the two truly do care for each other. Whether they start dating or not, at the very least, their friendship is very strong. The drama intensifies as Juno realizes her crush is interested in a tiny rabbit, and Legoshi realizes Haru's feelings for Louis is a lot stronger than he initially thought. Legoshi tries to confess his feelings, but Haru makes it clear she doesn't want to hear it, and then she gets kidnapped. Wait, what? Yeah, suddenly, out of nowhere, amidst this romantic drama story about teenagers figuring out their sexual frustrations, one of our main characters gets fucking snatched up in broad daylight. Like just whoop, like there she goes, she's gone, ta-da! No setup, nothing hinting that this could be a direction for our story. She just gets kidnapped. So like, a gang of lions have kidnapped her because, like, their leader likes eating pure white meat. Dumbass, you know the color of their fur doesn't change the flavor of the meat, right? This is when things get, there was a warning at the beginning of this video for a reason. So both Legoshi and Louis find out Haru's been nabbed by a dangerous gang of carnivores, and while Legoshi wants to go all out rescuing her, Louis doesn't want to get involved in order to save some political face. Legoshi charges into the black market and teams up with his panda friend who brings a fucking crossbow made out of bamboo. Anyways, in the heat of the moment, Legoshi's beating up dudes and he thinks to himself,
Haru's my game. My game?
A very confused Legoshi crashes in to save Haru and bites the shit out of one of the lions' neck. What the fuck? This went from 0 to 1,000 really quick. This is like one episode, by the way. It happens out of nowhere. So it looks like he saved the day, but we see the lion didn't die from getting his larynx rearranged. Fortunately, someone shows up to finish the job. Well, it's getting late and the two decide to stay at a sleazy hotel for the night. Finally, the two openly discuss the idea of furthering their relationship into a sexual one. However, suddenly, it's reversed. Haru's animal instincts are making her terrified, and she's instinctually fighting Legoshi. The two opt to hold off on the sex, but in this moment, Legoshi decides to reveal to Haru that he was the one who attacked her that night. And Haru reveals that she already figured it out. Confused but now free of guilt, the two go home in the morning. However, Louis has seemingly gone missing, and to top it all off, Juno is now more ferocious about dating Legoshi, making it clear to Haru she's not going to give up on winning him over. Haru and Legoshi realize whatever their relationship is going to be will be confusing, and it won't be easy, but they care too much about each other to not at least give it a shot. And then, that's the end of the season. Beastars is a weird show to tackle. The story takes a dive into intense action with the whole kidnapping thing, and it mostly feels unnecessary, hence why I skimmed through most of it. Hell, the whole ordeal with the lions only lasts for about 2 episodes. But on top of that, the show is mostly a character study on our 2 main leads, but it also doesn't really give us any answers. With the ending of Season 1, both we, the audience, and the characters still don't really know what's going on. There's still a murderer on the loose somewhere, and Legoshi is still unsure about his carnivorous behavior. At this point, he's boldly exclaimed Haru is both his game and that he's in love with her. Beastars doesn't offer you any real solid answers. More, I think you're supposed to just sit with it and ponder it over on your own. After all, sex isn't something you can be given a clear answer to either. Beastars addresses something not many shows have even attempted to touch on, that being figuring out your sexual drive. I think it's a massively important concept to be discussed and explored, especially when it comes to high schoolers like Legoshi. Sex is confusing, regardless of whether you want to devour your crush. When you're in high school, sex is always being talked about, and at the same time, no one ever actually wants to really talk about it. You want to have sex, but you're also terrified of the idea of it. It's both something you're praised for and something to be ridiculed over, something to be proud of, something to be embarrassed by. If you don't have sex, you're teased for being a virgin. If you do have sex, you're bullied and called a slut. Beastars attempts to tackle this complicated topic in a way that addresses not only the confusing nature of sex, but also the confusing nature of trying to figure out your own sexual preferences. Haru likes to sleep around. She enjoys it. It's so refreshing to have a female character be openly proud of her active sex life and still be a nice, charming lady. And I think Legoshi's story arc is even more important for high schoolers to hear about. Not only is the concept of sex a difficult one, but the added element of having an unconventional fetish makes his transformation into having a sex life even harder. It's going to be challenging. Everyone's talking about sex, but no one ever seems to bring up that thing that turns you on. Legoshi feels alienated, and yeah, I can see how this would culminate into him having some pretty jumbled up sexual frustrations. Beastars is an incredibly well-written show that tackles the topic everyone wants to hear, but no one wants to address. And if you're in high school and you find yourself struggling with the pressures of your own sexual frustrations, then maybe watching the show can help you come to your own understanding. I do highly recommend you watch Beastars anyways. The animation is beautiful, the characters are fun, and the story is smart and engaging. Hell, there's actually a lot I didn't cover in my review, especially when it comes to Louie and Juno's characters. You can find Beastars on Netflix if you want to give it a watch. As for me, I'm going to be eagerly awaiting Season 2, and I'll hope you'll join me when we get there. Thank you all for watching this video. I had a lot of fun with this. I hope you did too. Quick shout out to my $10 patrons: Cool Duck, Raymeal, Andrew, Chamomile, Valhalla Knight, Michael, Nako, James Dodds. You're all awesome and I love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. And yeah, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on Beastars. Did you know what it was going in? I did I did no research going in, so I was incredibly surprised by the turn of events. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. If you want to help support me, I have merch, I have a Patreon, you get to see videos a day early, you can hear name in the credits like these lovely people right next to me. Yeah, I want to hear everything you guys have to say. Do you like Beastars? Do you disagree or agree with anything I said during this review? Any and all thoughts and comments? Leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.